Welcome once again to the Damon Floyd Coaches Show, brought to you by Lost Margaritas on 25th Street. This is our 12th show of the year, I guess it would be. We've played 11 games, coming up for our 12th game. Congratulations on win number 9 last Friday night. You were very excited and happy. As you said, post-game interview, survive in advance. That's the name of the game, no matter how you do it, and we did it Friday night.
Yeah, it is, and when we first finished the game, it was obviously a close game, and 24-21 ended up being the final, but we were up 14-0, and I felt like we probably relaxed a little bit. And then after the game, as the kids are coming around and we huddle up, one of them, I forget who, but they asked me, said, "You're mad at us, aren't you?" I was like, no, no, at this point, let's just try to advance. Obviously I felt like we could have played better in certain areas and probably could have maybe put the game away, if we don't turn it over a couple times and give them a short field. But, all in all, it's a win, and that's the most important thing right now. And, that's exactly right. Survive in advance, and we did that. So had a lot of penalties. I think we had 10, which we got over. We can't have those kind of penalties again this week. We can't turn the ball over like we did. And our field position, we're not doing a very good job winning field position battle. And that's something we've got to improve this week.
Well, last week you came out in a two running back set, which we've seen very little of, if any, this year, which to me seemed to put them back on their heels somewhat. Is that something you brought out just for this game to prepare?
Well, we've worked it. We hadn't used it a whole lot. Of course, Jackson was hurt the week before, so he went on play. And then, obviously Jackson and Jay Allen is who we build our game plans around. They're very talented. So we're trying to get them the ball as many ways as we can, in space, in the backfield. And then Jay Allen tweaked his back at, he had a little bit of back injury before, but it kind of got tweaked, so it kind of took that away for the second half. But, they were loading the box on us too, so then we had to kind of adjust there and spread them out a little bit to get some guys out of the box. So it really is just a numbers game, and, you try to find different ways to take advantage, and you get this point in the year, you can add little wrinkles, and, they added a couple wrinkles that hurt us, obviously. So
they schemed some things that you said you didn't expect to see or hadn't seen.
Well,
before.
that quarterback obviously hadn't played a whole lot. Last week when he played, it was pouring down rain, so they couldn't do as much. But, they got us on some quarterback runs where we were in one-on-one situations, and it probably wasn't the best matchup looking back on it for us in a one-on-one situation with him. So we changed some things at halftime to help us with that. But, that's the way it is. Every team you play now in 6A playoffs is a good football team, and they have good coaches, and they're going to adjust, and we've got to adjust. And it's just a matter of minimizing mistakes when you get the chance, and then, living for that next possession. And I think for the most part, our coaching staff, our kids, I felt like we adjusted well, and, throughout the game, we made enough to have a couple more plays than they did and pull away victory.
Well, we opened that game with that two-back set we talked about, but they sort of took over momentum in the second and third quarter, and we come back and forth. Were they getting tired? They had some guys playing two ways.
They had a lot of guys playing both ways. I think you look over there, and they may have like 20 guys on the sidelines. Their team, numbers-wise, is not very big. Now, they got some guys injured too, but, I think our depth, and we knew going in that, our depth should take over in the third and fourth quarter, and I think it definitely did in the fourth quarter. I think we had momentum early in the game, first quarter, then they got momentum. And in football, man, or any sport, it's hard to overcome momentum. So once they kind of got it going, then we had a couple mistakes. But, I think our depth has played an issue on a lot of people this year. We've got a lot of kids that can play. Even though we've had some injuries, other guys are stepping in and stepping up. So, I think it's at this point in the year, you better have some depth or you're not going to last very long in 6A.
There's not many teams in 6A that's going to open a playoff game with a freshman and a sophomore as your two running backs in the backfield. That's unusual.
Yeah, we're happy about that for the future. In reality. But
they're not freshmen, sophomores, as you say. They're one-year veterans.
They're varsity football players. That's the only way. We don't really look at, I have a lot of people that'll ask me, what grade was so-and-so in from other teams? I don't look at their grades. I just look at what kind of player they are. Same thing here. You're either varsity or you're not. If you're a varsity football player, you're expected to perform. Now, obviously, those two kids are pretty talented, so it's a little bit easier to do that. But, and those, of course, those aren't the only freshmen and sophomore playing.
That's right.
That's
exactly right. Yeah.
Mason Gorey, Marcus's brother, is another freshman that's started for us all year. And then I could name a lot of sophomores that are playing. But we feel very fortunate to have, those caliber players, no matter what grade they're in.
Well, Jackson, the sophomore came through. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, a touchdown reception, 122 yards again, 21 carries, including that 46-yard run there that put us ahead, established our final margin there. Pretty good workload for him. Aiden, once again, 89 yards, 13 rushes. And Jay Allen Terry, as you said, before he got his back tweaked there a little bit, he came in and was carrying the ball quite well. So we had a really good offensive attack there. we had several guys due to Brody Morgan being out. We had
Yep.
to move Carter Howard around, had to move Luke Keith around, and those guys playing out of position. Does that affect your game planning, or do you try to?
Yes,
I mean,
it
in a
does.
big way?
It does, and it depends on who you're playing. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that Carter does really well at H-back.
Yeah.
Now I thought Knox Watson came in and played really well there.
Yeah, he did.
We had Gronk playing there some, but then Gronk kind of got injured and was able to play through it. But right now it's just a lot of moving parts because one guy can go down and everything changes. So there'll be different lineups that we have this week. Depending on who we're playing and what the scheme is. So those guys have to be ready to adjust, and I think for the most part they have. And Carter was willing. I mean, he actually came to us Monday, I guess it was, when we found out Brody was going to be out, and he said these things put me at tackle. A lot of guys that play tight end H-back, they don't want to go play offensive line, but I thought that was very unselfish of him, and he played really well. And then Luke not only was okay with it, he said, well, I'll just play guard then. I think we have a lot of unselfish guys that, and I've said this from the get-go, they really do care about each other. They care about the team. Their most important thing is about winning, and obviously that's a prime example of those two guys right there doing that.
Well, I saw Carter early last week before the game, and when I found out he was going to be playing tackle, I asked him what he's going to do. He said, I don't really know that position like I should, but I'm going to put somebody on their tail.
Yeah.
That's my main goal is to block, and open the holes there. And he did a good job there, I thought there. Our defense played good for the most part. Knox Watson had 11 tackles, lead the way, had a TFL. Josh Ellis had 9 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Rodney had 6 solos. Blake had 6 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a quarterback sack. Gage had a tackle for loss. Marcus Goree had a pick late in the game, which essentially set up that 36-yard field goal by Grant Haney. So you had you have all year long had a lot of different defensive players stepping every week. I mean, you look at your year-to-date stats, you got about 20-something guys or more that have made tackles this year at one point during the game. So you spread down all over the place. You're the defensive coordinator, so you got a lot of guys you can depend on different positions there.
Well, it's kind of funny. Our plan is try to make them one-dimensional, and what we wanted to try to do is load the box and make them throw it. Well, they threw for 3 yards, and then they ran it on us. So it shows you what I know at defensive coordinator, I guess. But I thought up front, Jefferson County is one of the best offensive lines that we've played. I didn't realize that until we got in the game. But I thought at times our guys got off blocks and made plays. We didn't get off blocks very well all game. But, Gronk had 3 tackles for loss. Well, Blake Johnson had some tackles for loss. Obviously, Gage Anderson has. But at different times, we were able to get off blocks. And that was kind of our thing. It's like, look, the way we lined up is like you basically got one-on-one. At some point, somebody's going to have to get off block and make a tackle. And, I think that was hard for them to sustain over the length of the game. And we're able to get them in some long yardage situations that, like I said before, is we've got to do better on our kickoff coverage and our punt team of flipping field position, because they were in 4-down territory a lot. I think one of their drives, maybe 2 of their drives, they converted on 4th downs, and it's, if you're at a different part of the field, they're probably not going for it on 4th and 4.
Right.
And so that's the frustrating part. But I thought for the most part we played okay. I think we had some excuses. Offense line, you can call hold, never play. And the scheme that they run, they're latching on, and I'm sure that's what they teach. But we got to get off the block. It doesn't matter if you're getting held. Get off the block.
Yeah. Well, special teams, you got Aaron Rojas kicking and Grant Haney both kicking, doing a pretty good job getting the ball down the field there. I counted up, I think, over 20 special teams plays, counting kickoffs, extra points, and field goals. But how about the 4th down punt, the fake punt? Obviously, you saw something that lined up with what because that's the second time this year we've done that and succeeded both times. Jackson's got a pretty good arm and knocks down there wide open all day long. I was just worried if he could catch the ball because sometimes you're too wide open. But it worked to perfection again. So,
well, I'll start with our kickers. They compete not every day. Actually, it's a competition between them two because I feel like they're both pretty talented. They're both pretty even. And that's kind of like some other positions. Sometimes one of them kicks, sometimes the other one kicks, but they compete literally every day of who's going to do what. Now, there is certain ones we like on certain hashes just because they're more consistent that we can tell in practice. So, but I think they're fine with it. The bottom line is, do we get 3 points or 1 point or whenever we need to? So they both need to improve on their kickoff, and they know that. But and then the next question, I've totally forgot what you just said.
Well, we just talked about how many special teams plays we ran.
Oh, the fake punt.
And the punt.
Punt. So obviously with Jackson back there, teams have to be careful because, they were showing where they were going to come put some pressure on Jackson to kick it. And they probably were thinking, well, he's the running back, I don't want him to run it. But when you do that, you're going to leave people open. And to me, I had somebody ask me, so I can't believe you faked it. It's like, well, we're going in to win the game. we're not thinking about, well, this may lose the game. We're going to win the game. Yeah. So that was kind of our thought process. If you give us this look, this is what we're going to do because it's there. And, fortunately, our kids executed. So, we've faked a lot of punts in the past, and we'll continue to do so if they're going to give us those looks.
Well, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back and talk about the biggest game of the season. And we've had a lot of big games and a lot of different events and excitement here this year. But we'll take a break and come back here on the Buzz 101.3 to pick up and talk about a team coming down here that we've seen just before. So back to this moment. Welcome back once again to the Damon Floyd Coach Show here on the Buzz 101.3, where our interview is brought to you by Los Margaritas on 25th Street. Some people would call that a stunning upset last week. Our number 4 goes up, beats their number 1, Science Hill. Of course, that's Farragut in a 57-56 double overtime game that we were all waiting to hear and didn't get to hear it before we went off the air Friday night. But it's just amazing the impact that win has. That means we don't have to take kids out of school at daytime. We don't have to feed them twice. We don't have to lease coaches to go up there, spend thousands of dollars, to do that. Our band gets to play at home again. Our concession stand guys are going to make some money there. Us in the media, we love it too because we don't have to leave in the middle of the day, go up there, and we get to cover another game. And Joe Cannon, for the Banner, gets to cover another game. And it impacts in a lot of ways. It's a different atmosphere at school. Kids are talking about it, staff's talking about it, and everybody's excited about it. And it doesn't get any better than playoff football to me.
Well, especially playoff football at home. We're excited to be still playing. And I think the thing about Farragut is, so they've played 11 games, 8 of those games, and they've probably played, I think it'd be hard to argue if they've not played the toughest schedule in the state, but 8 of their games have been decided by, I think, 4 points or less. So I know it's one score. They've played a lot of tough teams, and they've won some and they've lost some close ones. But so it doesn't shock me that they went up there and won. They're one of the most physical teams we played. Well, obviously, we've talked about them before. They're very well coached. So we're happy to be playing them at home, but it's almost like, we just played them and just came in with a narrow victory, and now it's turn around and you got them again. So at this point, I guess it doesn't matter who the opponent is. Everybody's going to be good. Yeah. So, like I said, there's a lot of positives to be playing at home. And I think our kids would probably be a little bit frustrated. I think they want to play at home, but I think they'd rather get out at school about 10 o'clock. But,
of course.
We're excited about it.
Well, you played them 4 weeks ago, I guess it was, and beat them on a last-second field goal, 41-yarder by Eric Rojas up there. We beat them last year up there and ended their season in the playoffs up there. First win we had over them in the last 12. I think we're 3-15 against them overall in our history there. You said this on the radio up there. You have a lot of memories about Farragut. A lot of them are not too fun because your final game, that 7 overtime affair in 1995, we lost 65-64, was your final game ever as a Bear in football.
Yeah.
And do you see a difference? We played 4 weeks ago, and I know you've looked at film of games since then. Is there a difference in what they're doing back then versus what they're going to be doing or trying to do Friday night?
Yeah, the game of football has changed a lot since I played. I think when I played, you saw one coverage on defense, where we ran one coverage. Now you're seeing multiple defenses. Obviously, the offensive game has changed a ton. But, every time I walk in that stadium, I really do. I look down in that corner of the end zone and remember that, it's 7 overtimes. And when they did score on that two-point conversion, it was like slow motion, the ball going through the air to end our season. But anyway, it's we've had some bad memories against them, but here, fortunately for us, the last couple have been good. We got to hope that continues. But I've got a lot of respect for Eddie Courtney and his program. They're class act guys. They got good players. I remember there was a time and day when we were here and just wanting to compete with the Farragut. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they've been good for a long time, and they do things the right way. So fortunately for us, we're in a position where we know it's going to be a competitive game.
Well, Donald Dodson, their AD, who's one of the assistant principals there, he is a class act too. He called me yesterday, wanting to know if there's anything he could do for me. I'm thinking, well, hey, we're at home. I should be offering the same thing to you, which I did. But you're right, that whole program, and I love playing schools like that. They have one of the most hospitable folks up there, and their press box is really good. I wish we had their press box folks. Just keep that in mind there. I'm sure that they're going to have something you cooked up for you.
Yeah. Well, they did when we played them. So when we played them this year, they had an open week the week before. Mm-hmm. So their first drive, they scored on us pretty easy, but they came out a lot of different stuff that we hadn't seen. Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure we'll see something again this Friday. Everybody's got some tricks up their sleeve that they've been saving at some point. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a couple things that we'd like to try. But, you know, at this point, you got to line up. Like I said, if they do throw something new at you, it doesn't need to go for a touchdown. Maybe it goes for a first down, you know. But there's a lot. They're very hard to defend. They're very similar to Maryville in what they do offensively in their scheme. They're going to line up in a lot of different formations. I don't think they ever line up in the same formation 2 times in a row. And then they're going to line up and they're going to move certain guys to line up in multiple different formations. So they're going to do a lot of RPOs in the run game, and you know, along with throwing the ball. So they got one of the best receivers we've ever seen. I can't think of his name right now. Number 15, Corum, I think is his last name. But you know, we doubled him every play last time we played him. He scored 3 touchdowns. Not all through the air. Someone reverses and that kind of thing. But so we've got to know where he's at, and you know, we can't let him have 3 again.
Well, I'm sure that's what they're thinking. They're going to try to get him 3 there. One final question. We'll let you go. Are we okay in the injury department? We're going to have Brody back this week, Brody Morgan, who was out with concussion.
We're not sure on that yet. It looks like he may be, you know, there's certain steps you got to take to get back, and, you know, he's through one phase of that. I think he's got 2 more phases he's got to go through. So we think he's going to be able to play. But, you know, we got a long week of practice, and, you know, it's every week that something usually pops up before Friday and may change. But are we okay on injuries? No. Are they okay on injuries? Probably not.
No.
So
this time of year, no.
It is what it is. Whoever's in there's just got to play.
Yeah, 11 games under your belt. Everybody's in the same boat at this point.
That's exactly right.
We're going to cut these 32 teams in half Friday night to 16 teams. I guess you call it the Sweet 16 like we do in basketball up there. But it should be exciting. And Bear Nation, we got to have you guys here. We need all your support here. There's no other game in town, so come on out here Friday night. Kickoff 7 o'clock. We have pregame here on the bus, 101.3 at 5:30. Tickets will be $8 pregame, $10 at the gate on the day of the game itself there. I'd like to thank Mr. Sroy's class for the continued support and production of these programs. I'd like to thank Lost Margaritas on 25th Street. They've been our sponsor all year long. Coach, I know you appreciate them too.
Oh, yeah.
They're a big sponsor for us there. And we'll see you Friday night at Bear Stadium on the Buzz 101.3 or there live in person. Until next time, this is Gary Olman saying so long for now. God bless and go Bears.